Good morning, everybody, and welcome to PSG of Mercer County. The Professional Service Group of Mercer County is a group that is here for you, anybody that is in any kind of career transition. And of course, as we always say, happy Aloha Friday. I'm meeting some new friends today, so welcome. Wondering why the guy up front is wearing an Hawaiian shirt? It's what I do on Friday, and you're welcome to as well. Or just wear whatever you're comfortable wearing, of course. But that's what I like to do every Friday is Aloha Friday. And for those of you, in the room, if you didn't see on the table back where Nora is, those of you online, today is National Chocolate Covered Cashew Day. And I like chocolate and I like cashews, and I thought I'd share with all of us. So we brought in some little baggies there of chocolate covered cashews. You're welcome to go grab that if you'd like, either during the program or on your way out. And do grab a bag, because if I have them at home, they won't last very long. And for the record, it is dark chocolate. I'm of the opinion that milk chocolate is just for sissies, and dark chocolate is what real chocolate lovers like. So that's my opinion. It's not, don't want to get political or anything like that. The Professional Service Group is here for you, anybody that is in any kind of career transition. And of course, you do know that we meet here weekly to have a topical program. I'll be introducing Terry in just a moment, but we have lots of resources for you as well. We do have our LinkedIn group, and our LinkedIn group has over 1,700 members in it right now. But they are all people that have been to this program, at least one of our meetings, either in person or virtually. So when you want, and I encourage you, join our LinkedIn group, search for it. It is called PSG of Mercer County. If you want to multitask and do it while we're talking, go ahead, I guess. But search for the group and you will be immediately accepted into pending status. And the reason why is we will be checking our attendance either here or the virtual attendance that we have to make sure that anyone that requests to join our group has been to at least one of our meetings. And the reason why we do that is we're trying to keep the list collectors and the name collectors out, people that are just looking to network with people only for their own benefit. And so what you'll find when you join a LinkedIn group like ours, or where there's something that's job seeker oriented, if they have similar kind of rule where they make it only for the people that are sensitive to job search, those people will more likely be helpful to you. So if you're doing your job search and you find that you want to research the company and you find a connection that you have at the company, and they're in our LinkedIn group, maybe they're not a first degree to you, they're a second or third degree, but in our LinkedIn group, there's a good chance if you reach out to them that they will contact you back, and you can have that kind of virtual conversation or take it to the telephone if you want as well. So we try and make the connections in our group very valuable to our mission. And then once in the group, be active, a little bit active. There's a section in every group for starting a discussion. You can write whatever you want, you can comment. So maybe if you're a little unsure of what to write, you may just want to comment. You read an interesting post and just write thank you for sharing, so at least that you'll be commenting back to them. Or maybe you got a job job description in the email, and it's just nothing to do with your background, even though it looks like a really good one. What you may do, copy it out of your email, paste it into the group, and share it with other people. LinkedIn likes when you're active on LinkedIn, and that's an easy way to do it, participating in a group. Also, everyone in the group is functionally your first degree connection. So where you may have limitations in LinkedIn connecting or in-mailing second and third degree connections, especially in the free version of LinkedIn, you can in-mail or use the LinkedIn email to connect with anybody who's in the group. So we've expanded your LinkedIn group or your own network by 1,700 people, over 1,700. We do also have our website. Our website is psgofmercercounty.org. And so I do encourage you to go look at our website. It is more than just a landing page. It is over 120 pages of content. There's a lot of information on our website. We have a menu on the top. We have a sidebar on the right that give you links to lots of other pages. One of the pages that we have, in the menu at the top, there's a link called Professional Services. In there is the link for e-learning. E-learning is in the Professional Services tab. We have links to 90 e-learning websites. So if you're wondering, is there an e-learning website out there that I may be interested in? There's a good chance we found it already for you. Not all of them are free. Some of them are free. Some of them are subscription based. Some of them are, you just buy the class or get that one class. There's different models. Why are they not all free? Because we decided volume is better. We want to give you lots of quantity, lots of options to choose from, because you would probably be doing those Google searches your own. So we've done that Google search for you. So go take a look if you have any interest in some sort of e-learning. If you're wondering if your skills are up to par for the job market, maybe you've been in your job for a long time and industry's moved a little, should you go back and get a degree? Maybe not. Maybe you don't need a degree, which could take 2 to 4 years or more. But instead, take an online class to learn what's new, earn a certification. You could do that in a couple of weeks or a couple of months. That may be better. So look at those e-learning options there, see if there's one that may be of interest to you. Okay, our standard announcements. I do also want to let you know of one other announcement. So our group is organized and run with an executive committee. And so there are 8 of us on the executive committee. We meet periodically. And so as an executive committee, we actually have made an executive decision about our group. And that is, yes, we are still running every Friday, and we'll still be here. Starting July 14th, we will no longer be live streaming. We will no longer be hybrid or virtual. We're only going to be supporting, starting on July 14th, in-person meetings right here at the library. So we certainly appreciate the support of the library and encouraging us to do that as well. We just think there's a tremendous amount of value to being in person, and we hope that by only being in person encourages a few more people to be able to get here. So we'll make more announcements about that in the future, but just wanted to let you folks know, because every once in a while someone will ask, are you going to change? When is that going to be? So just wanted to let you know. Got any questions about it, you can put it in chat or send me an email later, and I'll be happy to follow up with you then. Okay, so with that, time to introduce our presenter. So PSG of Mercer County is pleased to welcome back Terrance Seamon. Terry is an executive career transition consultant with the AIRS Group, where he coaches executives and professionals that are in career transition. He previously had a long career in the corporate world as an HR training manager in such industries as energy, telecom, and pharma chem. The author of 3 books, Terry is also active as a leadership consultant. Terry moderates the St. Matthias Employment Ministry, founded in 2007. So PSG of Mercer County is pleased to welcome career transition consultant and our very good friend, Terrance Seamon.
Thank you, David. It's great to be back at
getting applause here too, so thank you.
Thank you so much. It's great to be back at PSG of Mercer. Over the last, I don't know how many years, David, I've had the good fortune to be a speaker there. Typically, I would be in person, but today I'm here virtually. Maybe in the future, when you folks go back to strictly in person, maybe I'll come back again in person. So let's keep in touch. So why is this topic so important that we need to add it to the agenda of PSG of Mercer? Well, if any of you have been in job search, you know that some of the realities are not that great or positive. Job search for many job seekers can be quite lonely, quite isolated. You can experience quite often a sense of little traction. When you get some traction and you start getting interviews, you can get rejected and get turned down, even for jobs that you think you match to a T. And so disappointment, setbacks happen in the process quite often. A new phenomenon, or at least a new word for an old phenomenon that many of us talk about, is ghosting, where you've had some good conversations, maybe some interviews, maybe several rounds of interviews, and then suddenly the company goes quiet and you hear nothing, and weeks go by and you wonder what just happened there. And so some of the feelings that job seekers can experience are captured in that last bullet, that the job search itself is a daunting thing, It's often a very discouraging experience, and in some cases, it can really feel overwhelming. I got an email just the other day from one of my clients that I've been working with for a couple of months now. And the email essentially said, Terry, this job search is brutal. Can we talk? And so we did. We got on the phone. And I mean, this is an individual like many of my clients. My clients are executives and professionals who've been downsized by their companies. This individual, like many of them, has a great background, very strong resume, very current, in-demand skills, and even he is being ghosted, um, experiencing little traction, and just feeling kind of at loose ends, really. But But luckily, some job seekers do have coaches, but not a lot of job seekers have that. And so, those of you here like Alan Kirshner, John Sampson, David Shuckman, maybe others that I didn't see when I tried to look at the participant list, we know that job search is itself a job. But the problem with that is that very few of us know what that job description entails. That's why it's so important to get connected to an organization like PSG of Mercer, because PSG, and by the way, I'm a graduate of PSG 2 times earlier in my career. And so I love PSG. PSG is a great place where you can learn what's in that job description and how to do that job of job search, and maybe bring some order to the chaos that we often experience. So this is my way of saying why I think this topic is important. I think it's always been important, but it's gotten even more important in this period of time that we're in now. We're calling it the post-pandemic new normal, right? But as we all know, COVID has not gone away. It's still out there. It's morphing. There's a new variant, I think, in India that is already here. I've read in some articles. So we're not free of that yet. I'm not sure if we ever will be. So we're really living in a new world from that standpoint. And we're also facing the possibility of recession. There are things going on in the marketplace right now that are reminding me of 2008. Some of you may remember what happened there with the Great Recession. I hope we don't experience that again. But for these reasons and others, I think this is a very timely topic. I follow this topic closely because of the people I'm trying to help in my work as a career coach. I also follow the related topic of well-being. I think last year I gave a similar talk to PSG of Mercer on well-being. This topic is, let's say, the first cousin of that topic, and really takes a very focused look at things we can do that will actually strengthen our own resilience in the face of challenging circumstances, and that will translate into supporting our well-being as well. So that's why I'm here, and I assume that's why you're here. So let me just add a very little bit to what David said in his introduction to me. Please, look for, if we're not connected already on LinkedIn, please look for me on LinkedIn and let's connect and get me to be a resource to you. I publish content on LinkedIn every week. Some of it's original content, some of it's reposting other people's excellent content. But I'm a big believer in using the LinkedIn platform and helping people through that platform, especially those that might not have a PSG in their area, might not have access to a coach, but really need help with this thing called being a job seeker. Anyone that's conducting a job search is, I like to say, on a change journey. And those of you that have been through change management training in your corporate lives might have seen a diagram like this. This is pretty standard way to portray the change journey that people go through, whether it's a corporate change or a personal change, like divorce or getting married, or moving to a new home in a new town, and certainly applies to anyone that's in a job search. Typically, that change journey starts with an ending. For many job seekers, it's the loss of a job. Um, so you start with an ending, and then you travel along the change journey curve to a new beginning, a new job, or maybe a change of career, or maybe opening your new business, or going into consulting, or in some cases, perhaps deciding to retire and starting chapter 3 of your life. So when you're on that change journey, we know a lot about that change journey. There's been a lot of research on it. We know it's very emotional. It's an emotional journey, and it really is a learning journey. And it's a journey you don't want to take by yourself. You definitely want to go on that journey with companions. And that is one of the big research findings. And there's been a lot of research on this topic of resilience. That's one of the big research journeys. Do not travel through a change journey alone. Go with companions. They can be family members, friends. For job seekers, it's groups like PSG of Mercer. I'm so glad that you all, whether in person there at the Princeton Library or online with me, I'm so glad you all showed up here because you're doing exactly the right thing to boost your resilience. You've joined together with others. We're going to see how that shows up when we dive into some of the findings of the resilience research in just a moment or two. What I like to say to job seekers when I realize that the person sitting across from me, either in person or virtually, really has no idea how to conduct a job search. They have no idea where to start. I like to say to them that there's 4 priorities that a job seeker needs to get themselves organized around. Number 1, they need to be reaching out to other people for meaningful conversations and to develop productive relationships. In a word, we call that networking. The word networking is a scary word for a lot of people. They're very afraid to do it, very reluctant to do it, and yet it's the number 1 of the 4 priorities. It's in that number 1 spot for a reason. And so getting comfortable with networking, that's something that PSG of Mercer can help you with. Joining a group like this, as David encouraged you to do earlier, is highly recommended because it will help you to become a more comfortable, confident networker. Because if you're not reaching out to other people for those meaningful conversations about what you're trying to accomplish and maybe how you can help them too, then you're missing a huge component of an effective job search. A second priority for job seekers is use this change journey time as a learning opportunity. Go to meetings like this and expose yourself to speakers like me and topics like resilience and take something from it. What you are all doing today is you are engaging in networking and you're engaging in learning. You are intentionally putting yourself into an opportunity where you can improve yourself and thereby your marketability. A third priority for job seekers is putting yourself out there. Coming to this meeting, you've put yourself out there. And you can put yourself out there through PSG of Mercer. You can also put yourself out there on LinkedIn. And if you're not on LinkedIn yet, folks, I encourage you, get on LinkedIn and reach out to PSG of Mercer for resources on how to do that, because it's a very important component in today's world, not just for job search, but for professional networking in general. And it's a way for you to become more visible and more findable to talent acquisition folks that are out there every day running searches looking for people that might match the openings they're trying to fill. So you need to put yourself out there. And then the fourth thing is you need to take good care of yourself. So what we're going to see now as we plunge into resilience is that resilience actually ties into all 4 of these priorities of job seekers. And as we get into this material, I'm going to stop from time to time and ask you to chime in with your thoughts. And David or someone there on the committee, if you could keep track of what people are saying in the room and what people are saying in the chat, I'd really appreciate that. All right, here we go. Briefly, before we jump in, what's resilience? I mean, you can look it up. There are lots of great definitions out there. I wrote this one myself based on what I've discovered in my own change journey. I've been out of work 5 times. I think that's why the Ayers Group hired me. Plus, I've done a lot of research. The presentation today is drawing upon a particular publication in the resilience well-being field called Flourish. I don't know if you can see it here. I'm trying to hold the book up in front of the camera, by Martin Seligman. Excellent book on well-being and resilience. And so for me, resilience is the capacity we all have. We have this already. It's not something we need to go and get. It's our capacity to bounce back when we encounter disappointment, setbacks, adversity, stress. And resilience, the more resilient we are, we're able to stay motivated. We're able to continue to pursue our goals. We're able to keep going in a challenging situation like unemployment, even though the circumstances may be very, very challenging and unrewarding at many times, and confusing and overwhelming. So the more resilient we are, the more we can weather this kind of adversity. So let's get more resilient, okay? I'm going to look at it from 3 different points of view: mental, physical, and social. So hopefully we'll have sort of a holistic picture of resilience and how it feeds into our well-being. Let's start with mental well-being. This and the next 2 lists, they're not exhaustive lists, but these are sort of the maybe greatest hits, if you will, of these 3 different facets of resilience and well-being. And so the things here on this particular page, I've drawn from my own experience as well as the research that I made reference to a moment ago. For job seekers in particular, it's very important to replace what was removed when you lost that job. You need to replace the structure, the focus, and the priorities. You had all of those when you were working. Your day was structured. You had activities that brought focus to what you were doing. You had priorities that you were pursuing. Now that you're in between jobs, you need to replace all of that. That's what people mean, coaches often, when they say you need to establish routine. That's a great thought, but what does that really mean? It means you need to structure your day and your week. You need to focus your activity, and you need to manage with priorities. You can use my 4 priorities, or you can establish your own. But by doing those things, you recreate for yourself the structure, the focus, and the priorities that you need to conduct an effective job search. And just as when you were working, you took breaks, you need to take breaks when you're job searching. Don't just sit there staring at the computer all day long. Please don't do that. Get out, get outside. We'll talk about that on the next slide. Get out of your box, get out of that home office. Take breaks, take guilt-free playtime. It's recommended that you take playtime, whether it's going out into your yard, whether it's hitting a golf ball around, whatever it might be. Give yourself guilt-free playtime, and give yourself grace, because the job search can be very intense, even brutal at times. And so you've got to go easy on yourself. You've got to give yourself the grace to make mistakes, to learn from those mistakes, to pick yourself up when you've gotten rejected, and move forward to the next opportunity. And so to help with this, the research on resilience says, cultivate a positive outlook. Sounds good. How do you do that? Well, a number of specific exercises have been developed by the resilience researchers, including Celebrate small wins. Let's say you get a call back from someone you're trying to reach out to. That's a small win. Let's say you reached out to somebody to schedule a coffee chat and they schedule it with you. There's a small win. Let's say you have a great informational interview with somebody and you walk away from it with a notepad full of great ideas you got from that person. That's a small win. Celebrate those small wins. All of those small wins I like to think of as moving the ball down the field toward the goal. Another way to cultivate that positive outlook is reflect on things that are going well. What's going well? When I ask some of the folks that I work with to make a list of what's going well, what comes out first is what's not going well. You got a big list of what's not going well. But I encourage them to make the companion list of, okay, those are the things not going so well, fine. Let's also try to build that list of what's going well. And by sort of pushing the person into that what's going well space, we activate the positive thinking and positive feeling elements of resilience. In fact, this author that I mentioned before, Martin Seligman, one of his main points is to intentionally uh, make yourself focus on things like this, things you're grateful for, what's going well, celebrating small wins as a way to counterbalance what he calls our bias toward the negative. We tend to be biased toward what's wrong, what's not working well, what's aggravating you. And all of those things are legitimate and need to be put on the list and need to be addressed in one way or another with problem solving. But we need to counterbalance that with the other side of the list. Otherwise, it's going to be all gloom and doom. So another thing you can do is make a list of things that bring you a sense of joy, contentment, fulfillment, etc. So anyhow, there's certainly more that could be put on this list, but let me pause now and invite you to chime in on this list of things to support your mental well-being and resilience. And the question I'd like to ask, and those of you in the room, please chime in somehow, and those of you virtually, chime in through the chat. The question I'd like to ask is, what helps you, if you're in job search right now or a career transition, what helps you to cultivate your positive outlook? So what helps you? Is it things like I've shown here or other things? What helps you cultivate your positive outlook so that you can, not spend all your time in that negative space?
If anybody in the room, if you don't mind, just step up to the microphone so the folks online can hear you as well.
That's great.
Hi, I'm Barbara. Thank you
Hey,
for this,
Barbara.
Terry. I think that you captured this beautifully. The one thing that I don't do is the guilt-free playtime. The entire time that I'm playing, I'm upset with myself that I'm not doing what I should be doing. But the thing that I do from a positive standpoint is I keep a list by my computer about the little wins, the accomplishments that I've overcome during the job search, whether it be fixing a network problem or having the courage to reach out to somebody that I thought wouldn't pick up my phone call. I write those down and I keep going back to them when those negative thoughts come into my head about I'm never gonna find a job, right?
Yeah.
So I go back to that and I'm like, no, I did this, so I can do the next thing. So that's what I do.
Excellent. Excellent. Thanks so much, Barbara. I hope those of you who are taking notes jotted down some of those things that Barbara just shared. It's so common for folks in job search, and I know I experienced this myself, uh, to just get into sort of a spiral of negativity. I'm never going to find that job. It's not going. Nothing's going right, and while those thoughts may be based in some legitimate, real things for the what's not going so well list, it's not a healthy place to stay in, right? Mentally, that's what we're talking about here. And so how do you sort of, push yourself out of there and develop some new habits? I love what you said about keep that little list of the small wins, what's going well, little accomplishments. Another one of the findings of the folks behind that book out at the University of Pennsylvania is that you need to do some things during this transitional time that will help you get a sense of accomplishment. When we were working, we got that sense of accomplishment quite often. We would be, running projects, delivering to customers, supporting clients, wherever it might be. Now, in a job search, how do you reclaim that sense of accomplishment? You described it very well. Keep a list of those, even those little things that you're accomplishing, that's going well, maybe even things where you're surprising yourself, right, Barbara? So thank you for that. Anybody else, what you're doing to cultivate your positive outlook?
Hey Terry, it's Alan Kirshner.
Hey, Alan.
In addition to celebrate small wins, what I would say is to set goals that are like intermediate or smaller goals. The goal of finding a job is the ultimate thing, but you want to set things that you can see the progress that you're making, so that can give you encouragement as well too.
Great point. Great point. That feeds beautifully into how I think about job search like a football game. I mentioned before moving the ball down the field, and each time you move the ball, whether it's half a yard, 3 yards, 15 yards, each one of those is probably a small goal that you set for yourself. You might not have thought of it as a small goal, but I like to think about those small movements of the ball toward the goal. And I totally support what you're saying, Alan. Excellent. Anybody else? What you do or can do to cultivate that positive outlook?
There's a comment. Oops. There was a comment in the chat. Connect with friends, former coworkers, my church activities. I volunteer my services. This is from Sonia. I exercise, take walks during the week, reading sessions, have a positive mindset. I attend PSG sessions, among others.
Excellent, Sonia. Very good. And thank you for the segue into the next two slides. Very good. Well, let's take a look at the physical side of this conversation. Physical things we can do that support our resilience and our well-being. Sonia, you just mentioned take a walk. I would put that into the 1, 2, 3, fourth item down. Exercise, move. It can be as simple as walking, gardening, taking the stairs. Exercise has been described as the #1 way to reboot your mojo. I got that from an article that I read a couple of months ago. I like that. In fact, it's on one of my summary slides a little bit later. It's the #1 way to restore or reboot your mojo. In other words, to really get yourself going again, not just physically, but also mentally. You'll just feel better about yourself and about life in general when you start to move. One of the dangers with job search is the sitting all day, right? The sitting all day at a desk, at a computer. I mentioned earlier, please don't do that, but it's very common for many job seekers to do that. They tend to just get into that sedentary kind of mode, and they don't move enough. And so it's so important to move. If you look at any of the literature on health and well-being, you'll see that movement of some kind. You can join a gym, but you don't have to join a gym. Movement, even just natural movement, moving around the house, moving around your yard, moving around your neighborhood, any kind of movement, and certainly walking, heads the list, is supportive of your health, your well-being, and your resilience. Laughter, highly recommended. Breathing, of course, we're all breathing right now, aren't we? So what do I mean there? I mean deep, slow breathing that actually reduces stress. What has been found is that deep and slow breathing can actually turn off stress and turn on the relaxation response, which is sort of a natural calming reaction inside of our bodies. Getting outside in nature. There's so much growing consensus in the wellness literature about getting outside in nature. Um, the value of some sunshine, the value of fresh air, the value of being in nature, being in an area where there's grass, there's trees, there's gardens. Just the value of getting outside in nature has really become quite prominent in our understanding of things we can do that are physical to enhance our health, well-being, and resilience. Singing, music. We can listen to uplifting talks like TED Talks on YouTube or on our phones. Hobbies and projects, doing things that we enjoy doing that are self-initiated. Whether some of you might be gardeners, and now it's the time of year to start, preparing your garden for whatever it is you're going to be planting. If you're planting vegetables, I know my wife is starting to prepare our garden beds because we'll be raising tomatoes and all kinds of other things. Whatever hobbies and projects, really bring you a sense of joy and that engage your strengths in one way or another. Highly recommended. Eating in a healthy manner, right? Eating foods that are good for you, avoiding processed food, avoiding sugar. There's so much published out there, and I'm definitely not the expert on nutrition, but I would strongly encourage you all to look into that and make sure that if you're in a career transition, you definitely should be getting enough restful sleep, eating right, and exercising, sort of the big three, as well as all these other things that are being recommended here. And just as before under the mental list, this is not an exhaustive, complete list by any stretch. But again, these are, you might say, the greatest hits of physical well-being and resilience based on my combing through a lot of what's been published on this topic area. So let me ask you a question with regard to physical well-being. And we heard Sonia actually talk about this in her comment in the chat. What are some of the things, or even just one of the things, that you do of a physical nature that helps you to feel healthier, happier, more positive about yourself, but is something more of a physical nature? Is it dance, for example? That's something people often mention when I ask this question, that they go dancing. Or maybe it's yoga. I've heard that from folks. What's a physical thing that you do that really feeds into your health, your happiness, your well-being, and your resilience? And again, anyone in the room, come on up to the microphone, as David said before, and anybody online, open up the chat and put your thoughts in there.
So there's a few in chat. Michael says dance. Cecilia hikes, bikes, walks, and runs. Patty's at the mic.
Yeah, hi. This is such a great topic. I would have to say that I walk with my neighbors. And sometimes
excellent.
we take walks, and we chit chat, and I get a text from my neighbor saying that was such a great, I don't need to see a therapist. My session's done. We did it this morning. So it's kind of fun. And of course she's just kidding, but it's really a nice way to get out in nature, walk, get the physical part, and also talk through things.
Yeah, it hits on so many different levels, doesn't it? It's amazing how a walk with a neighbor actually touches on multiple areas of things you can do to support your resilience. Absolutely, very good.
Any
Anybody
pickleball
else?
player?
I'm sorry, say again.
Any pickleball players? I've been playing
Oh,
pickleball.
right. Yeah, that's right. That's very big
You know,
nowadays.
pickleball is popular because it's starting to show up in some of the prescription medicine commercials.
Yep,
As it's one of those activities as they tell you everything wrong with the medicine.
very good. Yeah, pickleball. I haven't tried it yet myself, but one of my brothers is big into it. Another brother of mine is very big on bowling. He loves bowling, and he tries to go every week, bowling with one club or another that he's associated with. And for him, it's a great way for him to get out and do something physical, and it's social because he's there with these little small groups of other bowlers.
Hi, my name's Anthony. I got two things. One would be anything calisthenics, push-ups like burpees. That helps, especially when you don't have weights or anything like that. The second thing is I like to journal. Sometimes just processing the day that helps unwind as well.
Excellent. Yeah, very good. Journaling is highly recommended as a way to kind of keep track of your own experiences, both external and your internal experiences during a change journey, whether it's a job search or any other major change journey you might experience in your life. Very good.
Yep, go ahead.
Yeah, hi, my name's Frank. I think I do everything on this list except for sing in the shower. But I'd like to add one more that I like. I recently
Please do.
purchased a under the desk elliptical. And while I'm doing all my searches, I'm spinning, not even thinking about it, and racking up like 8,000 revolutions. So I'm kind of like multitasking. So that helped me a lot.
Frank, I'm curious about that. Can you say again what that is that's under the desk?
It's an elliptical. So a brand I use is Kubi. And you don't even break a sweat. Your heart rate doesn't go up much, but you're just rotating your legs while you're working on the computer. And
How do you spell Kubi?
Cubii. That's one of the brands. So you can look that up.
This is a takeaway for me. Thank you so much for that, because I've been looking for something that I can do while I'm sitting, because I sit a lot because I'm on Zooms with my clients almost every day for lots and lots of hours. So thank you for that. I'm going to check into that.
Yeah, they're very quiet. So you could be in a meeting and we wouldn't even know you were doing it. So that's my recommendation.
Yeah. Oh, excellent. Thank you. Thanks very much.
And 10% off as per their website.
Very good.
Hi, Terry. It's Patty again. Also a standing desk. I have a standing desk, and it really,
Yes.
I think it really just changes just your outlook. When you're standing, I can feel like I think better and things like that. So I have my standing desk. That might be fun to have.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I don't have a standing desk yet myself, but sometimes I will move my computer to a different part of the house, maybe the kitchen, put it up on a countertop, and I'll stand for some of my meetings. And you're right, you just feel different. You think differently, I think. It's a whole different experience. So those of you listening to this conversation about standing up, try it and see if it makes a difference in how you feel, how you think, how you communicate. Your level of confidence may actually be enhanced by it. Well, we have a third dimension of resilience and well-being, and it's been touched on already, and that is the social side of it. One of the biggest headlines, if you will, out of the resilience research is that we strengthen our resilience when we join up with others. PSG of Mercer, right? When we join up with others. What you're doing here today, whether you're there in person or virtually, you're doing that first bullet point. You're joining up with others so that you're not going through that career journey alone. You're going with companions. And when you go with companions on that journey, You get all of that social support, that rich social support. We heard earlier about take a walk with a friend, with a neighbor. Absolutely. That's another example of join up with others when you're going through one of life's great transitions. And you have conversations, you get encouragement, you get moral support. If you're trying to problem solve through something, you can get ideas. Um, for job seekers, you can get job leads, you can get referrals to people that they know that you don't know. I mean, the list of benefits that come out of joining up with others is just, it's one of the things I talk about the most with my clients. I'll often say to them, so this week, are you connecting with anybody in your network? And I'm happy to report that because I'm like a broken record on this. I'm very happy to say that what I hear back is, oh yeah, I've got three calls lined up or 3 coffee chats lined up, and I'm always pushing my folks to join up with others. Don't just stay at home isolated in an echo chamber. You're missing out on so much that can support your job search, your well-being, your resilience. Spend quality time with people who love you and who you love, right? People who matter the most to you, family, friends. Do something nice for somebody. You'll feel great and you're doing something good. Or take it a step further and spend some time volunteering for a cause, maybe a local cause in your town or your neighborhood, like support your food bank or your local Habitat for Humanity or community garden, your local church or house of worship, whatever it might be. And then always, always, always be connecting, right? Network, reach out to others for those meaningful conversations and meaningful relationships. And again, like the other 2 slides, there's probably a lot more we could add here, but I thought for this particular Zoom on job seekers, these are the ones that I would most strongly recommend you consider if you are in a career transition or a job search right now. But again, let me open it up to some conversation. What helps you from a social standpoint, meaning interacting with others, right? What helps you to, from a social standpoint, to enhance your overall resilience?
Hi, it's Barbara again. I'm going to expand on this. Do something nice for someone. I try to do what I call planned positivity, where I walk into a store and think to myself, I'm going to make eye contact with the clerk and make their day. I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to hold doors open. But I also try to say something optimistic, and it makes me feel better.
Nice. Nice. Planned positivity?
Right.
I love it. Very good.
Well, Patty mentioned earlier walking with a friend.
Yeah. Yeah, that definitely fits in here beautifully. Absolutely. What other social things do some of you do that supports your overall positive outlook, health, happiness, that has a social aspect to it?
So there's a comment from Mike. I've been volunteering, mentoring in both cyber and job search. Makes me feel better, but doesn't seem to yield more interviews.
Yeah. Well, the beauty of volunteering, I think, for job seekers is, it's multifaceted, right? You do feel good, right? You feel good because you're doing something that's making the world a better place for some audience somewhere. The poor, the hungry, whatever it might be. So you're doing something very good. You are probably also expanding your network because you're meeting people through this volunteering activity you would not have met otherwise. And you might be learning some things about yourself or about that organization. you might be bringing some of your skills to that volunteering. And so you might be keeping your skills sharp by doing that. And then, if only those things are happening, to me, it's a great thing. I would put it under the heading of one of the earlier slides of something that is definitely going well. It's not turning into interviews. It might not turn into interviews, but what it might turn into is it might turn into some meaningful conversations. Quick story. This is from before the pandemic. A client came to work with me through the Ayers Group. She was a HR executive, and I thought she was going to want my help in, attaining her next HR leadership role. But she said, nope, I'm done with HR. I want to change careers. And so we quickly switched over to career change. Okay, career change. What do you want to do? And so part of her career transition activity was volunteering at a food bank here in New Jersey, up in North Jersey somewhere. I forget where exactly. And she was getting all those benefits that I just mentioned by doing that. But one other thing happened. She started to get to know the management people at that food bank. And in getting to know them and having meaningful conversations with them while volunteering, it became her background became known to them. And so some of them asked her, well, what do you want to do next? Or do you want to do more HR stuff? And so she ended up sharing with them what she wanted to do. She said, no, done with HR. I want to do this. And she described her career objective. Well, by sharing some of that with some of them, it actually led to a referral from somebody at the food bank to somebody in business. My client met that person, they hit it off, a job offer was made, and she went to work for that organization. So is it going to happen through volunteering? There's no way of knowing. But I like to think of it as you are putting yourself in the way of opportunity when you get out there in a volunteer capacity. So I'd encourage you to think about it. It may not be for everybody. We all have to take this journey in our own way, but something to think about, and certainly the world needs as much help as we all can give. Any other comments, David?
Terry, this is Alan. I have a couple of comments also.
Go for it.
Going to music concerts and attending lectures and also taking classes.
Excellent. Very good. Terrific. Well, great thoughts, everybody. Let me just kind of touch again upon a couple of really key points, and then I'll wrap it up and hand it back to David. Just check my watch here. Okay, we're doing good. The research on resilience has very clearly pointed to certain things that are really, really important. And I just don't want this to get lost in the sauce. I want this to really be part of your takeaway from today. First thing out of the chute, relationships. When you enhance your you enhance your resilience and your well-being when you are supported, loved, valued by others. So this could be family, this could be friends, this could be people in small groups, this could be PSG of Mercer, this could be volunteering. So it can take many different forms. So relationships, very key. Exercise is probably number 2. And as I mentioned before in an article I read not too long ago, the number 1 way to boost your mojo. It not only improves your mood, but it also actually heightens your thinking ability, your cognitive flexibility, thereby supporting your problem solving, your performance. So for job seekers, for example, getting ready for an interview, it's very much recommended to have some sort of a workout prior to the interview to give yourself the benefit of that mojo boost that comes from exercise. The folks out at the University of Pennsylvania who are under Martin Seligman and published a lot of their work in this book. They did a major application of their research with the United States Army back around 2010, 2012, and it's still going on today. And one of the things that became a standard element in the resilience training that was implemented there is something called hunt the good stuff. So that if you looked up that phrase, hunt the good stuff on Google, you will find tons of articles about how the U.S. Army has implemented this as a way to strengthen the resilience of soldiers and their families. So what is this? Hunting the good stuff is a way to do something we touched on earlier, and that is to find what's going well and counterbalance the bias toward the negative. So we hunt the good stuff by noticing what's happening that's going well, taking note of it, actually writing it down, making a note of it, analyzing, what happened there. How did I happen to get that interview with somebody? What happened? What made that happen? Why did that recruiter reach out to me? How did they find me? They found me on LinkedIn. So what am I doing right on LinkedIn? So really hunting down that good stuff, making note of it, thinking about it, and letting it fill you with a positive feeling, and then in many cases, perhaps not all, sharing it with others. So that's, in a nutshell, it's hunt the good stuff. Gratitude, very, very important, highly recommended, research-based. Think of someone who did something positive for you. It could be just a small thing, but if you haven't properly thanked them, take the time to do that. It could be a thank you note. It could be a phone call. It could be an email. Whatever it is, begin to develop that gratitude muscle. Develop that habit of gratitude, and that will feed into your positive outlook, and it actually strengthens relationships. At the end of the day, you could write down the 3 things that went well that day, another little exercise that was developed out of the resilience research. And then your self-talk, right? We touched on this earlier. Quite often for job seekers and others going through major changes, the self-talk is very negative. Boy, I really blew that. I'm terrible at that. I'll never get that. I'll never find a job. Instead, we need to start moving away from that negative self-talk to affirmative type self-talk. Like, I did my best. I'm still standing. I was true to myself. I learned something from that. So self-talk really makes a big difference. And there's a lot more. And I would encourage any of you who found this particular presentation to really kind of hit your dartboard right in the middle of meaningfulness, and you've got some takeaways. I would encourage you to keep looking into it. I have a couple of resources here. I'm going to be sending this slideshow to David, and he'll make it available to all of you. And so these links here on the resources slide, the first one takes you to the University of Pennsylvania Positive Psychology Department for some of their publications. The second one does that as well. The third one does that as well. So I'm really pointing you toward their research. And then the third one, Blue Zones. Blue Zones is a completely separate stream of research that comes into the picture, because what the Blue Zones research is looking at is what lifestyle practices could people adopt that would make them live longer, live healthier, and live happier lives. And the way they've come to these findings is by going around planet Earth to places called blue zones, where people actually do live longer, live healthier, and live happier lives. And the Blue Zones researchers have studied people in these communities and have identified the lifestyle choices that could become lifestyle changes for the rest of us. So that's the Blue Zones research. So with that, I'm going to stop sharing. Now, how do I stop sharing? Oh, stop sharing. Hey. And we're back. So what, if we've got time, David, why don't we just open it up to general conversation with folks in the room or folks online who would like to ask a question, make a comment, or just share some of their own wisdom about resilience.
Yeah, sure. Please do, folks, either online or step up here. And I did post, Terry, your contact information in chat. The chat log
Great.
will be available online with the other documents as well. Any comments or questions for Terry before we wrap up?
As you probably,
Barbara's stepping up. Yeah.
Barbara, come on up, Barbara.
I'm going to say thank you for this presentation. It was wonderful. It packed with a lot of great information. And so I really appreciate you spending the time with all of us to put that out there.
My pleasure, Barbara. It's great to have you here. I wish there was a camera pointed at the room so I could see who's up at the microphone.
No, you just got to stare at me.
I do like those shirts that you wear, David. It always,
sure.
It always makes me think I could have worn one of my Hawaiian shirts.
Yeah, you could have, or maybe get a Hawaiian sport jacket.
Is there such a thing as a Hawaiian hat that I could wear?
I'm sure. I found, which I did wear once this winter because it was very cold, a Hawaiian hoodie. So I came here on a Friday because I do wear Hawaiian stuff, just my thing. And yeah, I found the hoodie, so I didn't have to wear long sleeves under my Hawaiian shirt. Any last thoughts before we wrap up the meeting? For any questions, comments for Terry as he was asking? Hey, there's one more here. Yep.
Hi, Terry, it's Patty. So I did read, I think it was on LinkedIn, that it's really important when you're looking for a job that you should have a job. And I heard that and I agree with it, but sometimes it doesn't work out that way. But I think the basic message is very similar to your presentation today is feel like you have something that you're doing. Maybe you're not working in a full-time job because your full-time job is looking for a job, but have, I don't want to call it a distraction, but you know, if you haven't heard back after that second interview and it's 2 weeks and you followed up and it's crickets, you know, you have to look at it on their point of view. Maybe they're not focusing so much on filling that job as you are. So have other things going on in your life. And I think that's really important. Your presentation was spot on. Thanks again.
Oh, well, thank you, Patty. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that word distractions. I think there can be very positive distractions that we choose to spend some time on. And it can actually be a great way to relax, right? I think we all, job seekers especially, need to, you know, we talked earlier about giving yourself grace. Give yourself the grace to relax. Give yourself the grace to take a break from the job search. If you're lucky enough to live here in New Jersey, you know, get out into nature. We have the Jersey Shore, not too far, at least from where I live in Somerset. We have the beautiful Princeton area where David is. You know, give yourself the grace to take a walk on the Princeton campus sometime. I mean, there's so many ways where you can take good care of yourself and be good to yourself. And even though companies are going silent and you're getting ghosted and all, you don't have to let that get you down. In fact, be intentional about those positive distractions and let them work for you.
Yep, we got a bunch of nodding of heads in here. We've got a couple of thank yous and great presentation in chat. So, and I would reiterate that, Terry, this was just really fun and powerful. It was great information for all of us. I liked the comment you made about right from the beginning taking a break. And actually, I'm reflecting a little bit on what Patty said about, well, maybe finding a job is a full-time job. And sometimes we think it's a full-time job, we can't take breaks. But when you had a full-time job, you took lots of breaks. You went to the coffee room, you went out to lunch with friends, whatever that was, during your work day.
Yes.
So you can do the same thing when you're doing your job hunt.
Exactly. And you might even go shopping. Be careful, don't overdo it. But I just noticed a comment from Nancy. If you're up in North Jersey, go to Nancy's store. It's on my list of things to do. I haven't done it yet, but I want to do it, and I plan to do it sometime when I'm up in the Bergen County area. I'm going to come to your store, Nancy, and check out the very interesting stuff I've seen in your pictures.
Nice.
You have any pickleball paddles?
It's fun. It's a fun time.
Very good.
You're selling pickleball
Any what?
paddles. You pick one up and.
No, not yet. Pickleball's too new.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. She has a curiosity shop in Northern Jersey. You could check in with her and learn more about it. Iggy's.
Very good.
And I really like the discussion that we had about volunteering, and some of you know, the rest of you will find out. Well, I used to have a 30-year corporate career. I'm now an independent consultant, and as I made that transition, the first quote-unquote job I had was a volunteer opportunity with a local behavioral health organization. And so, did I get interviews? Well, not directly, but what I got was real work experience in the not-for-profit sector and a referral into a not-for-profit networking group, which then led to other opportunities. So it's a path. It's part of the path, and I think that's what's important when you're doing that. You're keeping busy, you're helping out, and it's creating or moving along on your path. So consider it.
Great story.
And the distractions that Terry mentioned, they don't need to be expensive. You could say, well, I can take that big cruise and relax. Well, yeah, but that's probably a little more money. But Terry gave you some ideas like drive down to the shore, take a walk in a park, go out with some friends. Here at the library, you can borrow DVDs and books. At your local library, you can as well. So there are things you can do that don't have to be very expensive. So if you can, take advantage of those as well. So great tips that came out today, and I hope you all found that helpful. So Terry, thank you so much, as always, for being such a friend of PSG of Mercer County. You're always welcome, as you know, and so we'll be talking very soon to get you back here.
Thank you, David. And everybody, listen, great to see you and to be with you. All the best. Have a great weekend. And I look forward to seeing you on LinkedIn or maybe in person somewhere later this year. Who knows?
Yep, because we will be in person later this year, in person only later this year. But let me let you know what's coming up for the next couple of weeks, just if you want to plan your calendar accordingly. So we will be right back here next week. So happy that we're here every week. Ed Samuel, career coach Ed Samuel will be here. Career pivots, do's and don'ts. And so that's what he's going to be talking about. And he will be right here. He'll be in person. So if you have a question afterwards, of course, you can come up and talk with him. And that's April 28th. And then Cinco de Mayo, May 5th, we will be here. John Hadley, career coach John Hadley, build your interview skills. And so that's what John will be talking about. So, and John does sometimes wear his Aloha shirts on Friday when he comes. So you may slowly be outnumbered if you're not wearing one. And for those of you that like to go shopping, you may want to visit Walmart, because I know every year they have inexpensive Hawaiian shirts as well. And of course, you can visit virtually some of our cousin organizations. PSG of Central New Jersey will be meeting on Mondays at 10:30 in the morning, psgcnj.biz. And PSG of Morris County meets on Wednesdays at 9:30, but they open up the electronic doors at 8:30, psgmc.org. And this Tuesday evening, New Jersey Job Seekers will be meeting virtually as well. They meet 7:30 to 9 o'clock on Tuesday evening, the second and fourth Tuesday. And I will post that information. It's a long link. I'll post that in our LinkedIn group a little later today. And so the video, if it's not available this evening, will be available tomorrow. And then as soon as Terry posts the slides, I'll make those available. On our website, psgofmercercounty.org, on the right side is a sidebar, and the very top link is called Meeting Presentation Documents. This is a meeting, and that's where the presentation documents go. So that's why we call that link accordingly. So click there and you'll see the whole list. We have documents from 2013, so we've got a tremendous amount of documents that are available to you. So until we get to see you next week, I hope you enjoy your National Chocolate-Covered Cashew Days. There's still a few bags back there. Feel free to take one if you'd like. And until we get to see you next time in person or virtually, we'll simply say, bye, everybody. Oh, you're welcome.